Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Kinder Coach, where we discuss all things science of reading and early literacy. I'm Audrey, and I'm very excited today because I get to discuss one of my favorite topics, which is foundational literacy skills. So these are the skills that your kiddos need to learn in order to progress and eventually comprehend what they are reading, because comprehension is the main goal of reading. If we can't comprehend what we are reading, if we don't understand it, then there's really no point in reading it, right? So we're trying to get our kids all the way to that goal of comprehension, but there are some very important steps along the way. That is where foundational skills come in. So the skills that I am going to focus on are phonological awareness, phonemic awareness, and phonics. Now, the science of reading does not limit language to phonics, okay? So it's not all about phonics. You also have vocabulary, you have fluency, and you have comprehension. And now vocabulary needs to be added in immediately, no matter how young your students are. You can define words that they don't know. You can introduce animals that they're not familiar with. What does the word habitat mean? Things of that nature. So all that is important to work into all of these things. Okay, I just wanted to make that clear. So let's talk first about phonological awareness. So this is the awareness of sounds, okay, spoken sounds in sentences and words. And phonological awareness deals with bigger chunks of sounds. So, for example, when you ask a child if two words rhyme, that's phonological awareness. They are listening to the sounds and they are processing them, and they are telling you if the words rhyme, okay? They also should be able to produce a rhyme on their own. Can you tell me two words that rhyme? Things like that. It is also alliteration, which is words that begin with the same sounds. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. That's a more difficult one. But alliteration, we also have syllable clapping. So when you're segmenting words into syllables, octopus, things like that, you are doing phonological awareness. So phonological awareness does not involve any letters, okay? It is all spoken, it is all oral. The activities really don't require anything other than you speaking, the children listening and repeating, okay? So that's phonological awareness. The next one is phonemic awareness. Confusing, right? So phonemic awareness is actually a part of phonological awareness. The difference is that phonemic awareness is the most complex and most difficult skill for students to get. So once they master the rhyming and alliteration and segmenting syllables, things of that nature, then you're going to move on to phonemic awareness, which is isolating individual sounds. Okay, so those are these, a phoneme is the smallest unit of sound in a word. So that's where phonemic awareness comes from. So for example, if you were doing phonological awareness and you were using the word cat, you may ask students, how many syllables do you hear in cat? They would say cat, one syllable, okay? Phonemic awareness would be, let's see how many sounds cat has. Three, I hear three sounds. So you're isolating each of those sounds separately, and they are listening and they are producing those sounds separately in isolation, okay? And now let me be clear, a phoneme doesn't have to just be one letter. Later on, they will get to PH, which makes the sound, okay? So early on, it's not necessarily important to overcomplicate things, okay? So that is the difference between phonological awareness, bigger pieces of sounds. Phonemic awareness is the individual units of sound, okay? I remembered that back in my undergrad days because phonological awareness, the word is longer, and phonemic awareness is shorter. So the bigger word is the larger units of sound. Don't know if that's helpful to you, but it was for me. Now let's talk about phonics. Phonics is when you start introducing letters, or they're called graphings, into the mix. So before, we were just doing sounds, speaking and listening. Now, we're going to complicate things even more by adding letters in. So let's use the same example, cat. In a phonics lesson, you would review phonemic awareness, k, a, t. But in addition to listening and speaking, you're going to actually have the letters in front of you. You're going to have the C, A, T, and students are going to look at the letter, look at letter C. What sound does C make? A, T, cat. Phonics also involves blending and segmenting sounds. So you are looking at the letters, you are creating the sounds, you are blending those sounds together, you are segmenting the sounds, okay? This is when they start writing letters to form words, all of those things. So that's the difference between phonological and phonemic awareness and phonics, okay? So it doesn't all mean the same thing, but they are all tied together. These skills are critical components in children learning to read, okay? It is especially important for early childhood, pre-K to first grade. But even if you have an older student who is struggling, my recommendation would be to go back to these basic foundational skills, because if they have not mastered those, it could be creating all sorts of problems when you start adding in more complicated ideas, okay? So I will be doing later videos breaking down each of these skills and showing you activities to use for each of these skills, explaining them in a little bit more detail to make it easier to understand and visualize. But let me leave you with a visual right now. So I'm a preschool teacher, so excuse the perhaps childlike visual here. So let's say that you are baking a cake. Let's say you have your dry ingredients and your wet ingredients. So we are going to mix in phonological awareness and phonemic awareness. That's our dry ingredients. We're going to mix those together. Once that is mixed in, or fully learned in our case, we are going to pour a bowl of phonics, alphabet soup, okay? So here are those letters. So we're going to take those wet ingredients, our phonics, okay? We are going to add in those dry ingredients, and we are going to mix it together. We're going to pour it in a pan and bake our cake. In this case, our cake is our reading foundation. So I hope that helped you a little bit, just to visualize all these things have to be mixed together. They have to be practiced together to help build that strong foundation for our little readers. As always, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. And if not, I will see you next time. Thanks for joining.